So glad you are with us again. Everything they never told you. Brad Johansson with Joe Wirbick, President and Certified Financial Planner with Equinox Wealth Management. Good to be back with you, my friend.
You know, it's a pleasure. Brad, I enjoy this.
It is fun,
I get
isn't
excited
it?
about it. I do. Any chance I have to educate the American public on how to do proper retirement planning, I'm ready to go.
I want to do this again. I want to throw the book up because this is a scan code that you can hit with your phone, real easy. There aren't a whole lot left. You put this book together. Why?
One reason was I wanted to write a book, but the other reason is I want a tome that somebody can just have and they can access the different chapters if they have questions about how to do proper retirement planning and to educate them on all of the topics, ideas, and strategies that no one has ever told them about.
Why do you think that is? We do this all the time, and we're doing these programs for education, but everybody says, how come no one teaches us how to retire?
The average, and I'm going to generalize here, but the average advisor, life insurance agent, mutual fund guy, they're going to focus on a product. They're going to say, hey, buy this mutual fund, invest in this annuity. Why don't you buy this life insurance policy? And that's all they're going to do. They're just going to put a product in front of you and they're going to push that product on you without understanding everything else involved in your life. And so when you work with a planner, a certified financial planner, one of the members of my team at Equinox, we're going to do a holistic planning approach and we're going to educate you on all of these areas. And I talk about this on my radio show, on my podcast. I have a YouTube channel where I discuss this, the television show you're watching right now, and then each and every day when I meet with clients, these are the topics we discuss. And it's important that you understand them because if you don't, you're going to make mistakes. And those salespeople who you think are advisors, they're not going to help you. That's not what their job is. Their job is to push a product, not to build a plan.
All right, so scan the QR code that is on your screen for this book. It will give you a shot at everything they never told you about retirement, and it will probably start with the very beginning because you probably want your grandpa's retirement, right? Grandpa had a great one, man. Everybody had a pension. Mm-hmm. You got the party, you got the cake, you got the watch.
Gold watch.
Then you get mailbox money, right?
Oh, yeah, every month.
The
pension comes in, the Social
month.
Security comes in. Beautiful. Yeah,
but
easy.
Now we have 12% of Americans who have pensions left.
12%.
And
well, hold on a second.
Shoot.
I would kind of disagree with that. I'd say 100% of Americans have a pension.
Because?
They have Social Security.
Yeah.
And you need to look at Social Security as a pension because it is a pension.
Okay.
And you funded that pension.
But I want guaranteed income. Okay, Social Security is that part of the guaranteed
income.
Okay.
It's only a part of.
So I want to today talk about our income plan, building an income plan that looks like Grandpa's retirement, at least where we felt okay and we didn't have to worry about it. How do we start? Is Social Security the start of our income plan, or how do we begin with a plan that says, I want money that's not going to run out until my last breath?
So you want to sit down with a planner. You want to call the number you see on the screen. You want to scan the QR code so we can build that plan for you, okay? But you have to realize Social Security, and I have a great YouTube channel, a great YouTube video on this. Social Security, if done properly, will only replace about 45 to 55% of your pre-retirement take-home pay. And that's what we want to replace. I don't want to do a budget. I don't want to sit down with a 60-year-old and try to calculate what their budget's going to be in 5 or 6 years, exactly what they're going to spend their money on. What I'm going to do when you come into my office is I'm going to look at your take-home pay. It's that simple.
Okay.
Because if I can replace, anybody out there, if I can replace 100% of your take-home pay that you have today, in the future, in retirement plus inflation for the rest of your life, do you think you'd be comfortable, Brad?
Heck yeah.
If you can have what you're spending now forever.
Because nobody wants to take a pay cut
No,
in
there's
retirement.
no pay cuts. Forget pay cuts. I hate pay cuts. And I've successfully done this 100% of the time. People who've come into me, they said, here's my retirement savings. Here's my Social Security. If you do it ahead of time, okay, if you haven't already made the wrong decisions, I can show you how to turn each of those on at the proper time, in the proper sequence, to make sure we're replacing 100% of your take-home pay. So look at that right now. When you come in to see us, we're going to ask you that. That's going to be one of the first questions we ask you is, hey, you get paid weekly, bi-weekly? They give us that number. And we say, okay, how much are you bringing in every 2 weeks?
Yeah.
And then what we're going to do is we're going to turn that into a monthly income. Because my goal for my clients on their income is, let's say you retire November 1st of 2025. I want to make sure that for November, you have the exact same take-home pay coming in as you had in October, as you had in September, in August, in July. And I want to make sure that you get that in December. And then January of next year. But next year, what do we have to do? Inflation, we got to increase that.
Yeah.
So I spent the last 6 years developing the most advanced financial planning software on the planet that can, in just a few minutes, when you come into my office, Brad, I'll ask that question, what's that take-home pay? We'll put in that Social Security information, and in just a few minutes, I will show you what your shortfall is. How much do you have to be pulling out each year to meet that income requirement? And then I'm going to show you how to do that. And then, wait, there's more.
But wait, there's more.
I am going to show you how to do all of that 100% tax-free. And you said that, grandpa's pension, grandpa's retirement. As much as I like the idea of grandpa's retirement, the problem with grandpa's retirement is that pension caused his Social Security to become taxable. And so for his entire retirement life, he was paying tax on his income. I like when a client doesn't have a pension, or if they have a pension and it's a small one. What the perfect pension is, and I get excited about this, is when someone comes into my office and they're getting maybe $800 or $1,000 a month from their pension. That's the perfect pension because it's not enough to cause Social Security to become taxable. And then because of the one big beautiful bill, the most recent tax law change, that standard deduction wipes out that pension. So now the pension's tax-free, Social Security's tax-free, and the only thing that's going to mess that plan up is the required minimum distribution from their 401k, from their IRA, because they were told, incorrectly, they were told when you retire, Brad, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket.
Taxes are going down.
And that is utter BS. That's not true. And I can think of maybe less than 0.1% of the cases where someone's come into my office and they retired without my help to a lower tax bracket. You know what that was? That was an individual who was making $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 a year and saved nothing for retirement. That person will retire to a lower tax bracket. If instead you actually saved, if you did what they told you to do, you put money away each and every paycheck, you were dollar cost averaging into that 401k, into that IRA because you wanted the tax break now, because you were going to be in a lower tax bracket later, I'm telling you, you're going to get penalized for that. You're going to be in trouble because you were a big saver. Your taxes are going to be, I've seen people go from the 12% tax bracket during their working years to the 28% tax bracket in retirement because they saved too much money. I've seen people stuck in the 30 to 40% tax bracket because they saved too much money and they did it incorrectly. But we're not talking about that today. We're going to talk about income, and I got off track there, and that happens, unfortunately.
You get passionate.
So income planning.
We got to take a break.
Okay.
We got to take a break.
I'm sorry, I would go
Here's
forever.
the idea. You need a plan. And one way or the other, one of the things that Joe said was, if you haven't done it incorrectly, and that may keep a lot of people out of the office. I made mistakes. We've all made mistakes
Hallelujah.
trying to figure this thing out. You need an expert who has perspective, does it dozens of times every week, hundreds of times every year, thousands of times over 30 years. That's what you get at Sequinox. Call the number on your screen. Let's put together a plan. Let's right the wrongs and make sure we have an income plan that's going to last the rest of your life. Back after this.
What I think makes Equinox unique is the fact that we ask the hard questions. We look at a client's not only their balance sheet, but what they want to get out of life. And we create a roadmap, we create a plan to allow them to retire at the same level of income that they had when they were working. You know, there's this whole 80% of your income when you retire. Forget that. I want 100%. Whatever my client was living on, I want them to get that every single month plus inflation for the rest of their life. And so we're going to focus on the investments, but we're going to focus on taxes. You know, we're going to look at liabilities. We're going to make sure they're protected. We're going to make sure that if they become ill, they're okay. We're going to create reduced risk portfolios so that the downturns in the market don't affect them negatively. And then we're going to create an estate plan so that they have a legacy that they can pass on to the next generation. It doesn't all go to the government. I believe that's what being a financial advisor, a financial planner is. It's not just looking at the return, it's so much more.
Glad you're with us on everything they never told you. Brad Johansson, Joe Wirbick, and Joe was just talking about taxes. So I want to throw this up if we can, John. It is everythingtaxtest.com. The idea is that, as Joe says, you've put money away, you've squirreled it away, and you've done what you were supposed to do, right? Put it in a 401k, try and get it matched, everything. And now we've retired. Nobody told us how to do this. Now the government wants the harvest. Part of that harvest is what we're going to do. And this is your greatest fear, right? Is that you're going to run out of money before you die and not know what you're going to do past this. So we're talking about income plans today, and the taxes kind of hamper that income thing if we don't.
Massively hamper it. And what you said there, I want to add to that. When people come into my office, before they meet with us, they have that fear. Am I going to have enough money? Not a single one of my clients has that fear anymore. They're not worried about it. In fact, every time they leave my office, I'm saying, go spend more money. Go have more fun. One of my favorite sayings, Brad, is either you fly first class or they're gonna. And who is the they? It's the kids, it's the grandkids. They're gonna inherit your money and they're gonna have a great time with it. So I want my clients to understand what they have and then how we're gonna use that to fund their retirement to the point that they feel comfortable going on that extra trip. They feel comfortable donating that extra money. They feel comfortable helping out here and there with their grandkids if they need to. They feel comfortable buying the nicer food or going out to the better restaurants, because retirement isn't about living on a strict budget. That's not what it should be about. It should be about doing the things you want to do and knowing that you're not going to run out of money. And every time my clients come into the office, I reinforce that idea and I let them see, okay, we built this plan.
Yep.
8 years ago. We worked the plan every single year. They retired and we turned on income from this asset and they worked a few more years. Now we turned on Social Security. They're 100% tax-free and they're getting these paychecks each and every month. And most of them can't spend all the money that they're getting because we planned for that. We planned for that income to continue. And I know people say it. I've heard this before. You got the go-go years. You got the slow-go years, and then you got the no-go years.
Yeah.
I don't go by that.
You don't
I
work on that
plan for the entire rest of your life to be go-go years. I do. I want to make sure that from day one of retirement until you pass, your income is going up each and every year. Because when I apologize to my clients, I want to say, I'm so sorry, Brad. You're getting more income this year than you can spend. I feel so bad about that. And you know what? Your taxes this year, they're lower than we thought they were going to be. And gosh darn it, your portfolio is bigger than what I thought it was going to be. Those are the apologies I make to my clients.
It sounds too good to be true.
And that's what everyone says when they walk in my office. And that's what my clients who've been with me tell me when they met me. They felt that way, And I can understand why they feel that way. But what they found was if they have that plan and they work that plan, this can happen. It's just basic planning. We look at the Social Security. We look at the pension if you have it or you don't have it. Then we look at your assets and we strategize on the optimal way to pull money from your assets in the most tax efficient way based on tax codes today. Did you know that because of the One Big Beautiful Bill, if you're over 65 and married, this is amazing. If you're over 65 and you're married, because of the One Big Beautiful Bill, you get the first $46,700 of income 100% tax-free. That's your standard deduction. And I bet you there's a lot of people out there right now who are watching this, they aren't using their whole standard deduction. I just had a couple in my office this week and last week and the week before that were redoing their plans. And because of the new One Big Beautiful Bill and because of that standard deduction, they weren't using all of it. So now what I'm able to do is I'm able to do those Roth conversions 100% tax-free and give them even more income. It's amazing what is available out there that people aren't using because they're not told.
Well, you say because of the One Big Beautiful Bill. I'm not going to go read the One Big Beautiful Bill.
No, that's my job.
Yeah. The idea is, why wouldn't you want an expert who's gone through this stuff to say, are you using this? Did you realize that legislation just passed here? Because we talk about legislative risk all the time. You can only play with the rules that you have, and the government decides they're going to change the rules whenever they want to. It's rare that we seem to see a situation where people might benefit from legislation.
Huge benefits, massive benefits. Not only am I able to help a lot of people convert those IRAs to Roth IRAs tax-free because of those deductions, I'm sitting down with my clients, I'm rerunning their income for this year, and every single one of them, I was able to decrease their withholding. So what does that mean? If I decrease the withholding on that distribution each month, that means I had to look each of my clients in the eyes and say, I'm so sorry, next month, you're gonna get more income than we thought you were gonna have. You know, in some cases, it's a few $100s, some cases it's thousands of extra dollars of either extra income that they can get because their withholding changed, or that's less that they have to pull out of their portfolio. And if no one sits down with you, you know what's gonna happen? In April of next year, the IRS is gonna go, oh, here's all that money you lent to us. Interest-free, we're gonna give it back to you. I don't want that to ever happen. People say, oh, I love a big, tax return. I'd love to get a big refund from the government. I hate that. I don't want that to happen for any of my clients.
Because you've been giving the government a loan.
And with interest rates at 4 to 6%, you lost money on that the entire year. So I sit down with every one of my clients. Every time they come into the office, we rework the numbers. And because I have the most advanced financial planning software on the planet, I can do that in a few minutes. And I can say, hey guys, guess what, Brad? Good news. Your taxes this year are lower than we thought they were going to be. So we're going to stop the withholdings for the rest of the year. So that means either you have to spend more money or, we're not going to take out as much, which means, darn it, your portfolio is going to be bigger next year. I'm so sorry that happened to you. It's so fun to do that. But most advisors don't have that information. Most advisors couldn't even tell you how to calculate that. Because when you ask them about taxes, they say, oh, go see your CPA. No, don't go see your CPA because your CPAs suck at this. They're terrible at this. That's not their job. Their job is to do your taxes. My job, my team's job is to save you taxes. Big difference.
Sound good to you? Sound like you'd like to save and take advantage of the rules that you have at hand right now? Call the number on your screen if you'd like a complimentary financial plan put together. And maybe say, I have a plan, and it's just a portfolio. And my guy hasn't talked to me for a couple of years. You need a plan that's going to take you into and through retirement so your money is going to last. Somebody that has the expertise to understand the rules, to understand the legislation, to understand the advantages that you should be taking of now. Call the number, put together a complimentary plan for your retirement so you get an apology. Sorry, you get to spend more of your dollars this year. We'll be right back.
Have you discussed retirement tax planning with your advisor? Some advisors may be limited in what they're able to discuss, and they avoid the topic because Roth conversions could reduce the assets they manage, which means they get paid less, and that will definitely have an influence on their income. You deserve advice on your full financial picture, including how tax efficiencies could shape your retirement. Want to explore this further? It's your retirement. Make sure the plan is tailored to your interests. Go ahead and scan that QR code you see on the screen, or even easier, visit everythingtaxtest.com, and today you can use that free calculator.
Glad you're with us. Brad Johansson with Joe Wirbick, Sequinox Wealth Management. We're talking income. We like to talk income.
Yeah,
because
we
the-
should be talking about income.
that's-
Everybody should be discussing their income with their advisor. You know, just because you have an advisor doesn't mean you're good. Just because you have somebody who's been helping you with your money, oh, they got me a good return last year. Anybody can get you a good return. You know, oh, they recommended a product. Anybody can recommend a
So
good
tell me
product.
the difference, because a preponderance of advisors out there are accumulation
Yeah, oh yeah,
advisors.
yeah, and they're not planners. They're advisors, and they're accumulation driven. So you want to look at their license. You want to see how they're licensed. They're going to either be a life insurance agent, you know, and they're going to be able to offer you annuities and life insurance, okay, or they're going to be maybe Series 65 licensed, where they're advisors and they can actually give you advice on sell this asset, buy that asset, what's the outcome. They're going to be registered representatives where they collect a commission, you know, to sell a mutual fund.
Yeah.
Or they're going to be certified financial planners who do all of that. As a certified financial planner, it's an additional 2 years of training. So you have to have your bachelor's, and then you go another 2 more years. So it's basically your master's in financial planning, okay? And we're taught all of those. And as you're with your CFP, you can discuss every aspect, every situation we just talked about there, and so you're going to have a well-rounded individual who isn't going to push products on you. The individual is going to push a plan. I'm a plan pusher. I am. I think everybody out there listening, I don't care how much money you have, I don't care what age you are, whether you're 20 or you're 85, you need a plan. And I can, or my team can make just a huge difference. I mean, we're talking about either saving you hundreds of thousands of dollars in taxes, getting you to retire a few more years early, getting more fun out of your retirement, having more income, less worries. That's what it's about by having a true planner.
You know, most people are going to say to that, Joe, I have a plan. I built a portfolio. I have an advisor. I accumulated this money. I'm going to turn my Social Security on when I feel like it's a good time for me to turn Social Security on. And then I'm just going to take money out of the accounts that I have at 4%.
Oh yeah, let's just do the 4% rule and let's just take out 4% because somebody told me to do 4%. You know, or someone sold me an income annuity and I have to take the income from the annuity because the annuity kicks out that kind of an income. Or I have to take my RMD because the government says I have to. None of those make sense by themselves. All of those may be good rules to follow, but they have to fit inside the plan. I've had people come into my office that 4% was too high because it caused them to pay more tax. I've had people come to my office who have income annuities and they're pulling $20,000, $30,000 a year out of an IRA where the RMD, the required distribution, is $5,000, and they're at 3 tax brackets higher than what they should be. That's the difference between someone who's just going to sell you a product and push the benefits of that product in a bubble, you know, on an island. But like Newton said, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. The same holds true in your plan. For everything you do, any choice you make in retirement is going to have a reaction to everything else inside that portfolio. And it could be a negative reaction, meaning more taxes, less income, or it could be a positive reaction, less taxes, more income, bigger estate, generational wealth. And that's the differentiator between the two.
Is it fair to say, because we talk about this wealth accumulation and the preponderance of advisors being such, and your specialization of trying to help people retire that way, is there a mindset change of I'm now going to tell my money what to do, and that's how I have to put together a plan?
You know, it's not as simple as that, because the accumulation phase should be built around the distribution phase. Like if I'm going to build a building.
Well, how rare is that?
But if I'm going to go and I'm going to build a skyscraper, do you think it's important that I have a strong foundation?
Yeah.
I mean, if I'm going to build a building 100 stories tall, do you think it's important that I start with a really strong foundation to make sure that earthquakes, hurricanes, anything that comes along is not going to destroy that building?
Amen.
So if the advisor that I sit down with only talks about accumulation, they're hurting you. From day one, they're hurting you. They're setting up a terrible foundation that when the first strong winds come along, the taxes are going to topple that portfolio. And that's not good. So yeah, a lot of advisors focus on accumulation, but they should be focusing on the entire stages, every single stage. Sequinox stands for sequel and equinox. the next season of your life. We're planning for that next season from day one. Whether that next season is a new job, whether that next season is kids, grandkids, whether that next season is retirement. There's so many seasons we go through. So you have to have someone who's going to focus on the accumulation, but doing it properly from day one to that distribution phase, and making sure that you're doing the distribution phase properly because you did the accumulations phase properly. You set a strong foundation.
When you talk about a plan and getting ready, we kind of talk sometimes about red zone of retirement and getting ready, and advisors who are telling people you don't need to worry about that now. How much planning should be done as we get ready for our Sequinox?
I hate rules of thumb. I don't like them. I see it all the time. What's your number? 4% distribution. Those are rules of thumb. Do you know what a rule of thumb is? Do you know where it came from?
No, tell.
You don't know the originals?
I don't.
So, geez, this is horrible. So a rule of thumb was, back in the day, you were allowed to beat your wife, but the stick you used could not be any wider than your thumb.
Wow.
I don't like that. That's where it came from. The rule of thumb was a stick. As long as the stick was smaller than your thumb, you were allowed to physically abuse your spouse. Horrible. That rule of thumb is terrible. We don't want to go off of that. Everybody out there watching this television show, you're different. You have your own individualized, personalized situation. I can't tell you, you should have $1 million, you should have $2 million. I can't tell you, take out 4%, take out 6%. I can't say that to anybody in this audience until you've sat down with one of our advisors and we've worked through the process. We've built that plan. We start at the foundation. We make sure you have a good, strong foundation, which is saving tax efficiently, which doesn't mean pre-tax versus post-tax. That means saving in the manner that makes the most sense based on the tax laws today, not the way the tax laws were back in the 80s and the 70s when IRAs came out. People, we have a new tax savings technique. It's called the Roth. It's been around for 20 plus years. If you're not using it, that advisor didn't build the good accumulation phase for you. So we build the foundation. We get you through the accumulation phase. We get you into the distribution phase, where all that wealth that you've built is now helping you live the life you wanted to live, helping you have fun, whether it's traveling, spending time with the grandkids, whether it's picking up a new hobby. Call us, we'll build that plan for you, and we will be right here next week.